for me, the first point is all about just knowing what's going on in the business from a payroll perspective. So, what does that mean? It means, I think, understanding that you understand what your payroll process looks like, and that your teams around the world or in your shared service centers are operating to a known, documented and standardized type models, so that it helps you to produce, payroll right each time and on time each time. That's the first part of that. The next bit then is all around data. So when we spend time talking to our customers, like they're telling us they're spending countless hours just trying to pull together even the simplest reports across their payroll footprint, when they're in a kind of a hybrid model where you might have some vendors, some regional vendors, a mix of in-house and outsourced payroll. It's kind of a complex data model to try and get your hands around. So that's an important thing. And in this day and age, really, people should have that kind of data at their fingertips, be able to respond to queries from around the business that help drive business decisions. So one of the great things about payroll data, and I'm amazed it's not leveraged more, is that every single employee in the business has a vested interest in making sure that that data is accurate and right. It's data that represents up to 70% of the cost base of the business. Tremendous insight to be gleaned from it. So I think having a global model that helps you to report across that data is essential. And the next bit about knowing what's going on in your business is just a compliance angle. Help you to make sure that you're, again, operating to the best possible standard you can in relation to the various dimensions of compliance in those local markets. But also from a financial due diligence perspective as well. So that's the knowing what's going on in the business. It also helps you then, when we think about your data, not just in the context of I have my data together, but the data flows around the organization. Having single platforms help you to control those flows, but also helps you to leverage the investments you might have made in HR, in central HR systems, in central finance systems. And payroll is a big consumer of data coming from, for example, HR or benefit systems. And it's also a big supplier of data going to finance systems. Remember that 70% figure, that payroll data and labor-related data represents 70% of a company's cost base. So by having a global model, you should be looking to drive higher data quality standards and better data flows. And of course, when we think about flowing that data, and if we're able to automate as much of that as possible, it helps to alleviate the industry of checking that payroll professionals are performing today. That industry of checking and aggregating data from source systems. So think about your payroll changes that you need to put together for each payroll cycle. Checking the data that comes back from your payroll vendor in terms of the accuracy of the payroll that's being calculated, and being able to automate those processes in ways that eliminates lots of that needless checking. So I think that data quality issue is huge. Also then, one of the big drivers in organizations is moving to regional self-service or regional shared service centers or global business centers. And a global model or a global platform helps you to enable that global business model, because what it does is it gives you a layer between your users in the shared service center and what's going on in the local payroll engine by integrating these together. Now think about if you want to move to a shared service center and all you're doing is taking access to all of those local payroll services or those local payroll engines and, just the practical stuff, managing logins, making sure that you have users that know how to use those local systems, different languages. It all becomes very, very tricky. And all you've essentially done by moving there without a global platform is shifted a problem from a local country office to a regional center or a global center that's many time zones or many hundreds or thousands of miles away from where that local payroll needs to be done. So you've just transferred the problem. So that's a key area. And then around governance, right? So if we were able to think of a situation where we've moved to a global model, we have good tools and technologies in place. and we're able to automate much of this data flow. What we should be able to do then is to switch some of our focus away from transactional payroll processing, but maybe into some of the things around governance of, pay elements, contracts of employment, keeping on top of local shifting regulation, and helping the local business units consume a lot of this.